So can you tell us a little bit about, you mentioned Occupy at Magnolia, and you said you guys were going to go play. And did you guys go, and can you tell us a little bit about the experience?
At Magnolia?
That was last fall.
At MagFest?
Yeah.
We played, what do you mean, you mentioned it there.
Right
Is that
before
what
you
you're
we
saying?
didn't-
Conscious Evolution.
We didn't go as a band. Well, we took the bus and a whole bunch of people from our hometown, Trumansburg, and went down. And it was really, in short, it was really super exciting. And let's see, it was the day after. It was the day after the big thing happened in Oakland, so they had a pretty powerful march that night. It was in solidarity with Oakland, and they were going through the streets singing, "New York is Oakland, Oakland is New York," and then. So it was actually and I went with my son Jonas, who was here. And with a whole bunch of other people, and the protesters had like little things that they did, and one section of them went the way you were supposed to go, but then a whole bunch of other ones leaked out into the street, and so we were in that group, and it went up Broadway about 15-20 blocks, like right in traffic, and everybody was beeping in solidarity with the thing, and all the shop owners and all the people that worked at the shops, would come out and their beer out the window. It was really a powerful thing. And then it went all the way through the village and walked through a movie set. They were making a movie, and there was like, whoa. So the whole thing was super exciting. And then it wound up back at Zuccotti Park. And then they arrested a few people. It wasn't terribly violent. And then, so I was trying to stay on the sidewalk because I didn't want to get arrested. But Jonas kept dragging me out on the street because the protesters would be like, walk in the street, and I kept dragging him on the sidewalk, and he kept dragging me out in the street. And then at one point he totally broke away from me and started walking in the street and gave me this nasty look, and he goes, "You're either in it or you're not." And so that was a good father-son moment. And then so we walked in the street from the rest of the time, and we didn't get arrested. But I've seen a lot of footage of cops beating the hell out of people, and we'd walk, and then the cops would, they'd all like make a little stand at a certain block, and either the protest would take a left or right, or it would just like walk through. So anyway, the whole thing was very cool just to see, because it broke down all that expectation of like, we are the people, and it just made it super apparent at that point, that you're free to do and express however you feel at the moment, and there's so much automatic acquiescing to all types of rules and behaviors. And that falls way short of just paying taxes blindly pay people to tell you what to do and orchestrate all kinds of unfair circumstances. So anyway, it was very powerful, very cool. Enjoyed it a lot, and we'll see what becomes of the whole thing. It all gets characterized by various people, and they try to take the beautiful impetus of it and like turn it into other things. Like, sure, there were some homeless people hanging out because it was the best homeless shelter there ever was in the history of the world. All these people hanging out and together. You didn't have to be scared and I'm sure there's some people drinking and doing drugs at the camp or whatever, you know what I mean? But that's how it starts getting characterized after a while, It's like people try to marginalize the whole thing, but really it couldn't be a more centrist movement. And the fact that they never really define what it is that it's about is even the best part of it too, because it's like as soon as you define it, then people will be like, "Oh."
Talk a little bit about this weekend now. What have been some of the highlights for you guys?
This weekend, well, yeah.
Feels like we sort of just
We
got
just
here.
got here. We're normally here for 3 or 4 days, and it feels kind of funny to get here. Got here yesterday about 2:30 or something. And so it's been a really short, short time. But well, I was just listening to Berlin Thompson, and that was so far definitely a highlight for me. And I heard a little bit of Rashad last night playing over on the Meadow stage, and it was the first time he's sat in with us before, and that's been really fun. But I've heard him sing it with a lot of people, but I've never seen him do his thing, with his, and that was really cool to see a few songs of that. Those were my highlights so far. I'd say today's weather is just incredibly beautiful. And actually, I had a great time this morning. I was forced to wake up at 9:30 this morning, and I got to sit in and play with Randy.
Forced. There was a force.
I was forced because I agreed to play with Randy Judy today in his Big Cosmo band, and I'm really glad I did it. And that was super fun. That was another.
It really felt good too, because I feel like that's a good payback for. Payback's the wrong term, but it feels so good to be able to provide him with something, because
he's
him
provided
and
us with this for
Beth
years.
have provided so much for
really.
us, and it just feels really good too.
What about
And
some of the
you can see he gets emotional, when his songs sound good like that.
Yeah, it was great. It was,
Really cool.
it was super fun. What did
Great
you
to
say?
share back. with
What about some of the
music.
past festivals here? Any memories that really
This
stick
is
out?
Sweet 16, they're saying. So we played every one. So this is basically, after we play, I guess we're hired at MagFest this fall, so that'll be 32 times. Playing here, it's hard to believe. It's really hard to believe, but it's just.
Seems impossible since we're in our mid-20s.
Yeah, it is. How does that happen? Part of it was in a past life, maybe. Part of it was in a past life, I guess. But there's been so many great things over the years. I mean, it's just, at this point, it just feels like a great vibe family. And if it ever didn't happen, it would be really, really super sad. It would be something that we miss in our lives. And you come back, and it's a lot of the same people that put on the festival work here and all that. It's just, you know everyone loves seeing each other, and it's just a great sort of homecoming here. And the musicians, some of them are, repeating, coming back, and it's a great community, great sort of family, and there've been amazing times. And every year it seems like new things kind of happen. But to name specific things is so hard. Remember, it's like a blur, all these years together. It's one big Opryland. Opryland is one of the really fun things that happens here. Sunday night, everybody goes up to Opryland. It's a campsite where brewery. They have all these, Opryland. And people go up there and pick and sing and hang out. And there's just a lot of great things like that. I mean, besides the stuff on the stage, which is a given. That's all awesome. Can you remember any specific things? Kind of hard. I mean, every Sunday sorry.
No, it's all right.
Every Sunday we play the last set, and so we have guests come up. And so they're, over the years, I mean, just think of all the musicians that have come up and sat in, and we both played together. So there's so many, great moments doing that.
I remember hearing Jim Lauderdale earlier saying he was disappointed he wouldn't play with y'all tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah, we really missed it. That's one thing real different, that he could only make it Thursday and Friday. We're here Saturday and Sunday, and normally we do a set together, and then tonight we all jam and hang out and stuff. So that feels really different. Just this year, I guess.
I think it would be worth mentioning is if anybody ends up watching this that doesn't go to festivals, is that festivals are they're easy to come to and easy to
get addicted to.
plug yourself into. It's not like, I think sometimes people see there's a festival over there, but they feel like maybe they're shy or they don't belong at it or something like that. But
it's much
really,
a family scene.
It's such a great thing to do, and kids running around everywhere. It really is awesome. It's one of the one of the very real things you can do. And also camping is really fun. And you see all the people getting away from their TVs for 4 days or whatever.
Yeah.
So anyway, if you're out there and you're curious about going to the festival, you should just do so. It's really,
Come to
it's really awesome.
All right. So about the new record now. I heard a rumor that you guys are recording it in a church.
We've been recording in a
Church of Trevor.
Our friend Trevor bought a church, and he's letting us record in it.
I think we got a nice batch of songs.
We have a nice collection of songs. It's sometimes weird because Jeb writes some and I write some, and on any given record, it's just the songs from that time period. And sometimes they really mesh and go together well, and sometimes they're a little disjointed feeling. So some of our records feel more cohesive than others. This one so far
And we
seems
think
like,
at this point, this one's
This
cohesive.
one seems
but
pretty cohesive.
By the time it's over,
by the time it's over, yeah, then
Totally at
we might
odds.
write a whole new batch of songs in the next 2 weeks, and who knows? No, but this so far it feels like it'll be kind of a fun record. I think people. It's so hard to say at this point. It's so not over till it's over. It's not even funny. You know, there's so much to do still. We could ruin it so easily. Still.
it's so easily
Or
get
we
ruined.
could make it better than
but so
ever,
far, it
but-
hasn't been ruined.
So far it hasn't been ruined. It comes close to time though. But
It hasn't been ruined.
No, it's true. A record could lose its verb like at any moment in the process. Like you can even send it off to get mastered, and you think it's a good record, and then by the time it comes back after mastering, it's lost its mojo.
So
somewhere.
what do you do to keep the mojo?
We have no idea. Some of them keep it, some of them don't.
I don't know. Well, it's not so much like keeping your mood up. I mean, you have to keep the mood up to lay the music down, but then like the mixing process and all that, the person mixing it, you know, it's like having ingredients. You give someone the ingredients, and they're kind of putting the soup, kind of stirring the soup for you, you know, and they might put too much of this spice or too much of that, meaning too much guitar or too much this, and it can completely change.
She
the
didn't mean
taste.
that too much guitar. That
I knew you were going to say that. I knew he was going to say that. It just happened. Whatever. Okay, too much fiddle. Okay, too much.
She didn't mean that
whatever. Too much. Anyway, you know. So the point is, like, at any step along the way, it can be shaped this way or that way. It's a very kind of touchy thing. Not touchy, but very sensitive.
Do you guys have
Well, it's-
a close relationship with your sound engineer for your studio?
Well, the fellow who recorded us, he did sound for us on a few tours, and he's a great guy, and, you know, we're friends with him, yeah, definitely. You know, we don't know who's going to mix it yet, you know, and that's another whole thing, you know, ball of wax.
I think essentially when you write a song or a band comes up with a song, it's got a certain character and a vibe. That character and vibe actually creates the song in the beginning, and then you try to get it so it maintains that vibe. And then all down through the process, the vibe and the vision of that song has got to maintain its intactness. And sometimes that doesn't.
Sometimes what can happen is it can change a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, kind of in a good way.
Can change
like it
and
can
grow.
add something cool, yeah, too. But if it loses, it can lose the vibe it had in all these different steps we're telling you about. And that you have to be careful of that. Sometimes it's out of your control, and sometimes you find that on the record, you just have to go ahead and put out the record, and a couple of songs kind of lost that vibe, and you know. And then the other thing is, like, we have a few brand new songs that we haven't really performed much. in
But you
public.
spend all the money and you got to get it out, and the record company's calling.
You can decide not
Backs
to do
against
it,
the wall.
but it feels pretty bad not to do it after you spend all that time doing it too.
No, it's ridiculous.
But yeah, I mean, it's.
You know, I think one of the goals in this record should be is it's like if you go and play the song by yourself, or like when you play the song by yourself, a lot of times it'll sound like clearer and it makes a lot of sense, you know. And I think that everyone should play it, and it should be as clear and succinct as that.
It's hard sometimes.
And sometimes
It's a hard language. It's a language, basically. You're speaking together.
The other thing is we're used to playing live so much, and it really serves our characters well to be like up against. It's not. You're just up against something. Like you got to do it, and you can't stop and talk about it. Like if we got up on stage and played a song, and there was like, and started talking, and usually by the third or fourth song of a set, you start getting into this new musical place, you know, and then that trust sort of grows and it becomes this one thing. But sometimes we're so good at that and used to doing it, but sometimes in the studio there's so much stopping and starting that I feel like sometimes we don't get to that next.
But the other thing is that a live performance and making a record is so different.
Very different.
When you're up there playing live and you're just like sort of, you're putting it out there. You're just like, you're not thinking, you know, you're trying to play it, you know, as good as you can play it at the moment. You know, you're doing your best, obviously, and you're trying to put out the vibe and be in all these places at one time, put it out there and then after 3 minutes or 4 minutes, the song's over. It's gone, it's done. You made a mistake, it's gone. No, you're never going to hear it again. But you go into the studio and you kind of can't come at it with totally that same energy because you can't just be like making mistakes left and right. And, you know, like it's not just about your vibe because that note's going to linger forever if it's wrong, and that thing is going to. So you have to find that place where you can still put out the vibe, but also have it musically palatable to where it's
Right, fits
not
on
so
the record.
reckless. You know, it can't be this reckless. It's a record. It's a different kind of a framework. You're framing a painting in a different way than a live set. So for us, it's a little difficult because we're so used to be like, ah. Then you go in the studio and you can't totally, because if you go, yeah, you'll listen back and go, that doesn't sound quite as good as it felt, you know? So you have to go back and play it in a way that it's going to sound as good as you want it, that it felt, that it sounds, that it can be on a record and last forever. So for us, that's kind of a challenge because we're just like, oh, balls to the walls, you know, on stage. And so we have to refine when we go in the studio, and sometimes we want to find that place.
It's also interesting because the sonic reality of being out in the world is it's a lot broader spectrum than what you can actually put on a record. So you gotta like focus and get that energy like in a thing.
It's funny when we listen to songs back after we record them, we're all sitting and listen, and when we all look at each other and we go, that sounds like a record. That sounds like a record. You know, I don't know what it is really. It's sort of this mysterious, but it sounds like a record. You know, it has this certain kind of, it has a great vibe, but it has this kind of slightly bigger, like, perfection, but it's good. It's a good kind. Like I don't know what it is. Something about it. It makes you feel like different than a live show. It's very hard for us to get that. Really difficult. Fairly difficult.
But it's fun. It's a challenge. It's good. That was a lot of talking about
There's a lot of
making a
verbiage.
record.
Well, that's how it's
I'm actually
hard.
done with this memory.